If you're over 50 and thinking about starting yoga, you might have a mix of excitement and hesitation. Maybe you've seen images of young, ultra-flexible people twisting themselves into shapes you can't imagine trying. Maybe you've even thought, that's just not for me. My body isn't built like that anymore. But here's the truth: yoga is not about bending yourself into pretzel-like poses. It's about gently opening your body, finding space in your joints, improving your balance, and reconnecting with yourself in a way that feels nurturing, not punishing. For many people over 50, yoga becomes the first time they truly listen to their bodies rather than push them. I want you to imagine this. It's a quiet morning, sunlight spilling gently through the curtains. You roll out a yoga mat not to compete with anyone, but simply to explore how your body feels today. There's no rush, no expectation. As you take your first deep breath, you notice the tension in your shoulders, the stiffness in your hips. And with each breath and gentle movement, you start to feel something shift. This is the gift yoga can give you: not instant flexibility, but the slow, steady return of ease in your body. I remember working with a woman named Linda. She was 62 when she came to one of my beginner yoga classes. She had never done yoga before and admitted she felt intimidated. Years of working at a desk had left her with tight hamstrings, lower back pain, and a fear of losing her mobility as she aged. The first class, she couldn't touch her toes. In fact, she could barely reach past her knees without bending them. But I reminded her, yoga is not about how far you go, it's about how you feel along the way. We started small, gentle stretches, supported poses using a chair and blocks, focusing on breathing. After just a few weeks, Linda noticed she could get out of bed more easily, climb stairs without as much stiffness, and even reach up to the top kitchen shelf without straining her shoulders. More importantly, she told me she felt more confident moving through her day. That's the power of yoga after 50. It's not just about flexibility in your body. It's about flexibility in your life. Let's talk about why yoga works so well for those of us in our 50s, 60s, and beyond. As we age, our joints naturally become less lubricated, our muscles shorter and tighter, and our posture often shifts forward from years of sitting, working, and daily habits. The beauty of yoga is that it gently reverses some of these changes through stretching. You're lengthening muscles that have been compressed for years through balance poses. You're training your body to stabilize itself, which can reduce your risk of falls. Through mindful breathing, you're calming your nervous system, lowering stress, and even improving heart health. And unlike high-impact exercises, yoga is kind to your joints, making it a safe practice even if you have arthritis or past injuries. The most common fear I hear from beginners over 50 is, I'm not flexible enough to do yoga. I always smile and say, that's exactly why you should do yoga. Flexibility is not a requirement, it's a result. And the changes can happen faster than you think, as long as you practice consistently and listen to your body. You might wonder how much yoga you really need to do to see a difference. For most beginners, even 10 to 15 minutes a day, 3 to 4 times a week, can lead to noticeable improvements in just a month. That could mean standing taller, turning your head more easily when you're driving, or feeling less stiff when you get up from a chair. The key is to start where you are, not where you think you should be. If sitting on the floor is uncomfortable, you can do poses from a chair. If kneeling hurts, there are always alternatives. In my classes, we use props like yoga blocks, straps, and bolsters not as a sign of weakness, but as tools for support and success. And here's something important. Your yoga journey after 50 is not about comparison. It's not about how far you can stretch compared to someone else. It's about how your body feels compared to yesterday, last week, or last month. Progress can be as simple as being able to put on your socks without holding onto something, or reaching up to change a light bulb without feeling a pull in your back. One of my favorite beginner sequences for flexibility focuses on 3 main areas: the hips, the spine, and the shoulders. These are the parts of the body that tend to get the stiffest as we age. Gentle hip openers can help you move more freely when walking or climbing stairs. Spinal stretches improve posture and reduce back pain, Shoulder openers release the tension from years of hunching. And when all three areas start to feel more open, everyday movements feel lighter, more natural. I'll guide you through these poses in a moment. But first, I want you to know no matter your current fitness level, yoga can meet you where you are. I've had students start in their late 70s and still gain flexibility, strength, and balance. It's never too late. What matters most is starting. When you first begin yoga after 50, the most important thing to remember is that this is not a race, it's a lifelong practice. Your body has carried you through decades of living, and it deserves patience, kindness, and respect as you learn new movements. One of the simplest ways to start is with breath awareness. Before any stretching or bending, just take a seat on the floor if comfortable, or on a sturdy chair and close your eyes. Place one hand on your belly and the other on your chest. Inhale slowly through your nose, letting your belly expand first, then your chest. Exhale gently, feeling your shoulders soften. This diaphragmatic breathing calms your mind and prepares your body to move more freely. I've seen students who were nervous about exercise discover that this quiet breathing alone helped them release years of tension before they even tried a single pose. Once you feel centered, we can move into gentle stretches that focus on flexibility without strain. One of my favorites for beginners is the cat-cow stretch. Start on all fours, or if your knees are sensitive, place a folded blanket under them or do the same motion while sitting on a chair. Inhale as you arch your back, lifting your chest and tailbone toward the ceiling. And exhale as you round your spine, tucking your chin and pelvis in. This simple flow warms up your spine, improves posture, and eases stiffness. Another foundational pose is the seated forward fold. Sit with your legs extended in front of you, a strap or towel around the soles of your feet. Keep your back straight as you gently lean forward, stopping when you feel a stretch, not pain in your hamstrings. Even if you only move a few inches, you are making progress. Over time, your muscles will lengthen, and you'll notice daily movements like bending to tie your shoes becoming easier. I worked with a gentleman named Robert who came to yoga at 68 after his doctor suggested it to help with lower back discomfort. At first, Robert's flexibility was so limited that he could barely hinge forward from his hips, but he showed up twice a week, and at home, he practiced just 10 minutes a day. After 6 weeks, he told me he had picked up a drop pen at work without that familiar twinge in his back. His smile said it all. This was more than exercise, it was freedom. In yoga, we often focus on the hips because they act as a gateway to mobility. Poses like the reclined pigeon can be done lying on your back, crossing one ankle over the opposite knee, and gently drawing the legs toward you. This opens the hips without putting weight on your joints. Tight hips are a common cause of lower back pain, so releasing them can have a big impact on how you feel day to day. Shoulder mobility is equally important, especially for simple activities like reaching for something on a high shelf or putting on a coat. One gentle move is the thread the needle pose, starting on all fours. Slide one arm under the other, bringing your shoulder and head toward the mat. This opens the shoulders and upper back while also giving you a twist for the spine. The magic of yoga for those over 50 lies in the combination of strength, flexibility, and balance. A pose like mountain pose might look like just standing, but when done with awareness, feet grounded, spine tall, shoulders relaxed, it teaches body alignment and balance. Practicing balance now can help prevent falls later in life, which is one of the most important things we can do for our long-term independence. I always encourage my students to modify poses and to listen closely to their bodies. If you feel pain, stop and adjust. If you feel a stretch, breathe into it gently. Using props like yoga blocks can make a pose accessible instead of frustrating. You might not be able to touch the floor in a forward fold right now, but resting your hands on a block at shin height still gives you the benefits while keeping your back safe. Remember, yoga is not all or nothing. You can start with as little as 5 minutes a day. The consistency is what matters most. Your body will remember the kindness you show it, and over time, it will reward you with more mobility, more strength, and more confidence. I often say to my students, every time you step onto the mat, you are giving yourself the gift of possibility. As you continue your yoga journey after 50, you'll notice that the benefits go beyond just flexibility in your muscles. Yoga also helps improve circulation, supports joint health, and enhances your overall sense of balance and coordination. These changes don't just happen on the mat, they show up when you walk up a flight of stairs without feeling winded, when you garden without an aching back, or when you play with your grandkids without fear of pulling a muscle. I remember a student named Carol who joined my class at 59. She had spent years caring for her elderly mother and had put her own health on the back burner. She felt stiff, tired, and older than her years. In her first class, she moved cautiously, but after 3 months of consistent practice, she was glowing. She told me, "I feel like I got a piece of my youth back." That's the kind of transformation yoga can bring. It's not magic, but it is powerful. Let us put some of what we've talked about into a simple sequence you can try at home. Start with your breathing 3 slow, deep breaths to settle your mind. From there, move into cat-cow for 5 rounds to warm up your spine. Next, come into a gentle seated forward fold, using a strap or towel if needed, breathing into your hamstrings for about 30 seconds. Follow that with reclined pigeon on each side to open your hips. Then try thread the needle for your shoulders and upper back, holding for a few breaths on each side. Finish standing in mountain pose, grounding your feet and lengthening your spine as you take 3 calming breaths. This whole sequence can take just 10 minutes, and it's a wonderful way to start or end your day. As you practice, keep in mind that your mat is a judgment-free zone. Some days your body will feel open and light, other days it may feel stiff and heavy. Both are okay. Yoga teaches us to meet ourselves where we are, to accept the body we have today while gently guiding it toward more strength and flexibility. Consistency is far more important than intensity. You don't need to force big changes small. Steady steps create lasting results. One of the most beautiful things I've witnessed as a teacher is how yoga builds not just physical flexibility, but emotional resilience. As we learn to breathe through a challenging stretch, we also learn to breathe through life's challenges. We develop patience with our bodies, and in turn, patience with ourselves and others. This is especially valuable after 50, when we may be navigating life transitions, retirement, caring for loved ones, or health changes. Yoga becomes a steady companion, a place where you can reconnect with your own strength and peace. If you're still wondering whether you can start yoga at your age, let me reassure you, it is never too late. You don't need special equipment, just comfortable clothes, a safe space to move, and a willingness to try. Start with short, simple sessions and build gradually. Celebrate the small victories, like reaching a little further or holding a pose with more ease. Every improvement, no matter how small, is a step toward a more mobile, confident, and vibrant you. And remember, you are not doing this alone. There are thousands of others beginning this journey alongside you, finding joy in movement, and discovering that age is not a barrier, it is simply a different chapter of the story. So unroll your mat, take a deep breath, and start exactly where you are. With time, patience, and practice, you'll be amazed at how much lighter, stronger, and more flexible you can feel both in body and in spirit.